It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott is back from Puerto Rico. Mary Jo Foley is here. We've got to look at the latest updates from Microsoft and a way to make Windows 10 look more like Windows 7. It's all next on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 402, recorded February 25th, 2015. Watch your squad. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Nitro. Nitro accelerates the way businesses create, prepare, and sign PDF files. Anytime, anywhere, saving you and your business time. To learn more and try it free for 14 days, visit gonitro.com/twit. That's gonitro.com/twit. And by LegalZoom. Get your life organized and protect your family with a will or living trust. Plus, incorporate your business or form an LLC. LegalZoom is not a law firm but can connect you with an independent attorney. Visit LegalZoom.com and use the offer code WW to receive $10 off at checkout. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we talk about Windows Weekly. And Paul Thurrott, who was bi-weekly, or is it semi-annually, or is it bi-monthly? I don't know what. He's back. He wasn't here last week. He finally had enough of the snow and went to Puerto Rico. Congratulations. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I was surprised we got out.
Of Boston, not of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome back. I can see you're quite chatty now that you're off the plane.
I'm so happy to be back, Leo. It's so nice here.
So Mary Jo Foley's also here from allaboutmicrosoft.com. We thank Daniel Rubino for filling in for Paul last week. Did a nice job. Paul, did you do any work while you were in? I guess you have to, because now with the new Thurrott.com, it's a year-round.
I worked a couple hours in the morning and here and there.
At least do it on the beach.
No, I didn't do it on the beach. But we were just, it was hard to focus there, you know?
Yeah. I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
I'm not really a beach guy, but I got to say after this winter rather, I was ready.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. And you came back and you said it was a 70-degree delta in temperature flying back to Boston. Now, that would be a flight that maybe you wouldn't mind if it got turned around.
I know, or delayed or anything. It would have been great.
Delayed. I'll spend an hour in the Puerto Rico airport. Just let me, please.
Probably not cool to call in bomb threats at an airport, but I considered it.
No, don't even say that out loud, Mr. T.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we welcome you back. And just in case you were worried, Windows 10 is still alive. It hasn't gone anywhere. Although I see that StarDock has decided that even the Windows 10 start menu is just not enough.
Yeah.
They're doing, is it, so they did, what was it, Start 8 for Windows 8? Or they could call this Start 10?
Yep. Start 10.
Of course. What better name?
And you know, we just learned about this yesterday, and they made a beta available for people to start trying now. And the hate on Twitter about
I know, it's weird.
Oh, Twitter's just a place for hate. That's, it's just
well, yeah, but you know, the reason this is notable, I think, is literally millions of people are using Start 8 and Modern Mix and their other utilities.
Classic
and
shell.
StarDock is obviously a fairly beloved company. These things are very inexpensive. They're very useful. They fixed very real problems in Windows 8. I guess it shouldn't be surprising that they're doing something for Windows 10, and will probably do more.
Yeah.
But
it seemed to be surprising.
The reaction has been amazing.
Shocking, isn't it?
You know, the part I kept telling people on Twitter when I saw people ranting about this, I'm like, you know what? If you don't want it, don't use it.
Nobody's making you do it.
Don't
You're
buy
bringing
it.
logic to a Twitter fight.
Yeah, really.
I
What
know.
is the complaint? The gist of the complaint?
It's too
Well,
early.
one part of the complaint is they should wait for Microsoft to finish with Windows 10 so people can see what the ultimate new start menu is going to look like before they offer a replacement.
Yeah.
I actually don't buy that. I think what we're seeing with the start menu is the start menu that we're going to see in Windows 10. There might be a couple little tweaks, but this is the way it's going to be. And the reason Brad Wardell came up with Start 10 was he said, for a certain class of users, they don't want even the new start menu. They want something that's just like Windows 7 start menu. So you know what?
And
they're out there.
We had this conversation months ago. I mean,
yep.
Microsoft's bringing the start menu back literally almost a year ago, like last October when they previewed it.
Yep.
We talked about this. People are going to complain. It's not the Windows 7 start menu, right? It's it has modern tile elements and so forth. So there are going to be people, and there are a lot of them. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of millions of people using Windows 7 that are still not going to be happy with that.
Right. But there were people on Twitter saying Microsoft should block them. They should make it so people can't install this. I'm like, what?
That's not going to happen.
No.
If
I
Microsoft's
hope
going to
it's
block
not
anyone,
gonna
they should block Lenovo.
Yeah.
It's talking about.
Yeah.
Let's cut off one of the
because-
few people that's still supporting us with new software.
Yeah.
You don't have this superfish story on your...
I just added it to the notes because we forgot. It happened after Windows Weekly last week.
Oh, did we? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't even...
Yeah, we actually didn't talk about it.
And we've been covering it. I mean, we covered it on Twit. I talked a lot about it on the Tech Guy. Of course, yesterday Steve Gibson had... Actually, he had a lot to say about, which was even more significant for Windows users, is Lenovo was a customer of Superfish. Superfish contracted out the underlying technology to a company called Commodia. And it was Commodia that really is to blame for not only for this breaking SSL, but doing it so poorly and so insecurely that it really made any system with Superfish on it vulnerable. And then the worst story is there are 100 other programs that use Commodia, or Commodia, I should say.
Right. Including some antivirus packages.
Antivirus, parental controls, tons of stuff.
But that doesn't absolve Lenovo. And because they ultimately are responsible for what goes on their PCs.
Yeah.
I look at this like, PC makers are so delusional. They really do believe that they can make the situation better, by providing value in the the of these additional applications.
No, they don't think it's... they really do. Make a little extra on the side.
No. They really believe this. I talk to these guys all the time about this. People I know and trust will blurt this stuff out like...
They're just rationalizing bad
They say
behavior.
things like, we try to be... conscious of what we put on the install and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you're just loading crap. They don't understand that if they just left Windows alone, that would be better for consumers.
Well, and we've talked a lot, and it's timely because Paul, before he left for Puerto Rico, kind of ranted, fell off his chair, and then dropped the mic. And what you were talking about, of course, was this, and and you've talked for a long time about the Signature PC program at Microsoft.
Yep.
Lenovo participates in Signature PC.
And I told you that I talked to a couple of guys from PC makers who told me that video ads were coming in crapware. Replacing
do they say that
ads
that's better for consumers?
Replacing ads in web pages is kind of a step toward that vision, right? I mean, that kind. Although the video ads I was talking about are going to be on the desktop.
Yeah.
These people, they really are delusional. I mean, they really are. And part of it is a business necessity that isn't just tied to trying to make a little money on HPC. It's really about differentiating, right? Because when all of the hardware that's in PCs is basically commoditized and is common across PCs, you only have two ways you can differentiate. Well, I guess you have three. You have price as well, but you have obviously the hardware design. But most PCs look like MacBook Airs today, or follow very common designs. And then you have this crap,
Yeah.
And it's sad that we live in a world where this is how we differentiate. It's like changing the colors of the knobs in the radio in a car or something.
Yeah.
It's such a nonsense change, but. This is what I think these. Well, and I don't just think this. I mean, again, this is based on a lot of conversations, but they're like crack addicts. They think they can stop if they want to. They think they're okay and that nobody notices and that's not bad, and they can't stop doing it. They just can't stop, and they do it to the point where they're harming themselves and others, and they can't stop.
Even Lenovo said we don't really make very much. I mean, one of their defenses was, Oh,
Yeah.
but we don't make very much off of this.
Right. And they don't.
Okay, well, don't do it then, because
No,
now I
this
have
is
to
my
say,
point.
Ben
In other words,
Thompson on Twitch,
it's not just there's not some cigar smoking CEO who's like,
we're gonna be evil.
we
Let's
make
be evil."
5 cents per PC. We're going out the door with this crap. You know, they really do believe they're doing something good. It's so stupid. And Lenovo's defense of this thing, which obviously evolved over a couple of days
Yeah.
there, it really went from this is for the betterment of consumers. We're trying to do the right thing. Blah blah blah. Well,
can they
maybe we could
say
ask them to change it. And well, okay, we're going to change. Okay, we're just going to get rid of it. Okay, we did the wrong thing. I mean, it was like that 7 stages of guilt kind of stupidity where they had to kind of walk through it.
Yeah.
And they're the biggest maker of PCs in the world. This is not WinBook or whatever. I mean, you think these guys would know something about this stuff?
You know, well, the other thing was we brought this up, I think, a couple shows ago where we said now that Microsoft's providing them with much cheaper versions of Windows per unit, you wonder if they still have the same defense of, okay, we load crapware because Windows is so expensive that we have to offset the cost.
No, they don't. That's actually what caused the conversations I'm referring to, because I talked to these guys. I said, Windows is free, so you're going to stop doing crapware, right? It's like, well, we don't really do crapware for money. Oh, really? So you're just demented then. Like what? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Paul, I'm sorry. I understand they're not making on the, and this, by the way, they don't put it on ThinkPad. They don't put it on high end. So if they really thought this was a value, why wouldn't they put it on the high end? They only put it on the consumer devices where their margins are so low, they're effectively zero.
Listen, consumers are sheep, Leo. You know, like there are people out there who actually think this stuff is good to have. They, they'll look at a PC and say,
really?
No, they're up. No, Leo, listen, not everyone shops at Whole Foods. I mean, there are people who just are not discerning consumers. Yeah, that's just the way it is.
I think consumers, I don't think they think it's good. I think they just don't. They don't know it's there, and then they think it's supposed to be there. I
think the way to think of it is they may not be aware of exactly what's on there, but they know that there's this stuff on there. Some of it's like CD burning software and utilities for photo services and blah blah blah.
Right.
And I think the way most people operate is they don't do anything about it. They don't look at it. They don't click on it. They don't remove it. They don't do anything about it. But in the back of their head, what they're thinking is, I don't need this. I don't know how it works, but maybe I will need it someday. And now it's on there. It's on there if I need it. And they'll never use it.
I could see how that's true for an antivirus. And all of them, even some of the high-end stuff embed an antivirus. And the good ones, which, by the way, both the Dell and so my expensive Dell 13 and my cheap as could be WinBook, both had antiviruses on them. But they've learned a little bit because both had, you want to use it, you don't want to use it, you want to uninstall it? And they say, don't uninstall it. But they say you can uninstall, and you press uninstall it.
Yeah, actually, the WinBook, the way the WinBook handled that was the best I've ever seen on any PC.
The Dell does the same thing.
So that's neat. I mean, that's, it's not as good as not being there, but it's a positive.
It's pretty close.
Step.
And then a consumer might say, oh, that was nice. I do know I need an antivirus. It was nice of them to offer one. And I think that's
by the way, I'll take just to take that a step further. It's not even installed, right? In other words, on a typical PC, the first thing I would do is remove McAfee, right? And the first thing McAfee says when I do that is, your PC is not, your PC is unsafe. That to me is dishonest and is scary. And I think for an average consumer would be, scary enough that a lot of them wouldn't uninstall it. Whereas, that WinBook approach where they say, hey, if you want it, we have this, whatever that is, ESCT antivirus.
Non-32, which is a very good one. Better than McAfee, by the way.
Yep. Well, WinBook, it's a small company. It's, God help us if they get successful, there'll be all kinds of crap on there. It's I guess you have, this is one of the choices you have.
Yeah. I just don't. Okay, so the superfish stuff that Lenovo put on there, as far as I can tell, they claimed what it did was some sort of image recognition. What it really did was stick ads on pages that you were visiting, even though they didn't come from that page. They added ads.
Does it replace the ads? Like, in other words, if there were ads on a
that
page.
would be, if it replaces ads on my page, I would sue them because they're basically
illegal.
taking
Right.
money out of my pocket.
Oh, wow.
I think it's just putting more ads on a page.
Oh, good. Even better.
I defy you, Paul, to find one consumer who said, "Oh yeah, boy, thank you, because I want more ads on the internet."
Oh, no. I don't think anyone would want this. No, absolutely not. No,
but
no,
that's Lenovo's defense. Oh, this is, we thought people would like this.
I'm talking about in general for crapware. I mean, in this particular case, this is indefensible. In fact, I'm pretty sure I used that exact sentence in an article somewhere. This particular episode is indefensible. Okay. Their initial excuse that, they were trying to benefit consumers by showing them other things they might want to buy is ludicrous. It's nonsense words mashed together into things that look like sentences. That makes no sense at all.
By the way, even Microsoft acknowledges that this is a virus because they updated the security essentials to remove it. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Lest there be any doubt.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody has. All the antiviruses have.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Even though at first Lenovo said, "Oh, but there's no security." Oh, well, yes, there is actually.
Not yet.
Not well. Okay.
We'll see. The week is young.
I feel like, well, and the other really takeaway is not just Lenovo. In fact, How To Geek updated. Remember they did that wonderful Crapify experience where they went to download.com and downloaded the top 10 downloads, and then said yes to every bit of crapware that CNET wanted to install.
That's awesome.
They updated that to say of those, 2 had Commodia on there. 2 of them had the same technology that is problematic in Superfish. So you're getting it from everybody. You're getting it from CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, the Tiffany Network, which owns CNET, has putting that crap on your system. Unless you're extremely careful whenever you download something from download.com. So it's all over. It's everywhere.
Yeah. By the way, that doesn't make it good. I mean, or okay. Right?
No,
I mean,
I'm not. I'm saying it's not okay.
I know you know that. I just want to, and
I'm saying
just
nobody
to be clear,
wants
like,
it.
this is, like, they're doing it too is not an excuse. This is completely
please don't misunderstand me. I'm warning people.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know
you. I'm not saying, see, it's okay.
Leo Laporte supports
CNET
crapware.
does it.
You bastard.
No, it's terrible. What I'm saying is far worse than we think, and that Lenovo is not the only one, and that you know.
Well, God bless them for getting caught, because frankly, this kind of thing needs to be broadcasted to the world. The norms need to hear about this stuff. The problem for Lenovo, by the way, is going to be Joe Consumer walks into Best Buy or Micro Center or Fry's Electronics or whatever you have to buy a laptop, and they're looking, and they all look the same, and they have different prices, and they don't know what the processes are, and they see Lenovo, and it's like, oh, what was Lenovo? Was that company that did that thing that was really bad, and they're going to lose sales because of this. Stupid.
I think they should.
Yeah.
I said on the radio show, I'll never again recommend Lenovo. They need to be punished for this, just as Sony needed to be punished for putting rootkits on their music CDs some years ago.
By the way, Sony is paid.
As they should have.
Let's be clear. They've paid them.
As they should have.
Sure.
And I think Lenovo should suffer a little bit for this. This is on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
going to.
Can you trust them?
This is a tough one for me personally, because I know people over there, and they're good people, and it's a good company.
That's what you should say. I want to hear that.
Yeah, it's they make good products. I mean, I
love the ThinkPad.
I reviewed the Lenovo Yoga 3 Pro recently. In fact, I think it was the first article I posted on the new site, and I really liked the machine. But one of the things I called out was the crapper on it, and I just find it reprehensible on a $1,000 plus laptop that there would be any crapware. I don't care if it's aimed at consumers or business users. Yeah. You know, and obviously in Lenovo's case, if you're going to buy a ThinkPad, you're not going to get this kind of junk, which is, you know, fine for that audience. But those machines tend to be more expensive. And one of the side things I don't like about this kind of stuff, not just Lenovo, but anybody, is taking advantage of people that can't spend as much as others. You know, if you want a premium experience, you could buy a Mac, but you know, Mac's laptops start at what, $900, $1,000, whatever. Some people can only spend $200-300. It's not fair that those people should have to suffer through crapware as well as.
That was a point that Ben Thompson brought up on Sunday on Twit. He's Stratechery, I think a very smart analyst. He said some of the blame goes to consumers who will not pay more than $200 or $300 on a computer.
Well, but some people can't.
Or will not or cannot.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem. I mean, it's unfair. I mean, look, I'm sorry you can't afford a more expensive laptop, but so maybe you're going to get something that's a little more plasticky. Maybe it's a little bigger. Maybe the battery life isn't so good. Maybe it has more crap on it. Seriously, that is completely unacceptable. I mean, talk about this kind of dividing line between the rich and the poor. Like, let's bring it right into the tech world and make these people the second-class citizens we already think they are.
Can I point out that no one in their right mind would say McDonald's food or any fast food is good for you or sane, but it's cheap. And so a lot of people eat it because they can afford it. And McDonald's has to be held just as Lenovo has to be held.
By the way, you're right. And since you're talking about McDonald's, let me just say that whether you're McDonald's or Walmart or any other giant company that sells a bunch of crap to poor people, you also have volume. And with volume comes the ability to save money. And you have the power to change the world by doing the right thing. But you don't. You give people crap. And it's just whether it's a low-end PC or a McDonald's hamburger with a sugar bun on it or whatever example you choose to use. It's just sad. And I just don't like that kind of, it's exploitation. I don't like that.
I got to say one thing that Ben did say. He also said Microsoft needs to take some blame for this by not putting more pressure on the OEMs.
Oh, listen, Leo, this is my central message. How about free Windows as signature PC Windows, Yeah. And if you want to put crap on it, well, then you're going to pay $100 a copy for Windows.
They knew they had a problem. That's why they created signature PC. But I think you said that there was very little response from the PC industry. They didn't want to do it. Basically
zero. Vizio did it for a little while. You could buy some signature PCs at Costco. There's not an example of a single PC maker that said, okay, we'll give it a trial. We'll sell your crapware-free versions of our laptops next to our signature PC laptops. Nobody's done it.
Yeah. I don't know if this is or was true, but I saw people saying the reason that Microsoft can't outright ban crapware off of these dates back to the DOJ trial, and they can't tell OEMs what to do.
You know what? By the way, so that was probably true in 1999.
Right, and is it still
Microsoft
true?
Microsoft doesn't have a monopoly today.
And they are no longer under that edict, the DOJ edict, right? So I don't know if they could do that.
They don't have to give it away. They don't have to accept anything that if anything, Microsoft should be suing them for altering the thing that they sold. I think this is the time for Microsoft to take a stand. And, they take a stand in so many places, whether it's some kind of privacy thing with emails in Ireland or these security issues, and they're so proud of themselves and look at the grace. How about actually standing up for the 1.5 billion people that use your damn products every day and make this a clean experience? Really? I mean, it's just
my guess is there's a weird symbiotic relationship with Microsoft and the PC makers, right? And that Microsoft bends over backwards to also do what they want because they need them. I mean, what good is Windows without a PC? So if the OEM says to them, if you ban me from putting crapware on this, I'm going to just make my PC and Android.
Some companies won't, and the Winbooks of the world can become bigger, and the Asuses of the world, and whoever. If HP or Lenovo or Dell can't handle this, you know what? We don't need them. And there will be other companies that will step into their place.
I just
think it's time.
I fear you are not.
You saw my Caesar tweet, right?
You know what? I love idealism too, and I think it's great. But in business, all they care about is making money. They don't care about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
They don't.
Well, to some degree, they have to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
well, look, the only thing we can do is try to educate people to make the right decisions.
Agree.
And that's what the clean PC stuff is about.
Right. And also, there are plenty of people who have money who go out and buy a $200 PC because it's cheap. It's an impulse buy for them, right?
Yes.
It's not the only thing they can afford. It's like, hey, it's at the cash register and it's $200. Sure, I'm buying it.
Listen, I can buy an HP Stream laptop and as an intellectual exercise, spend an evening watching TV and removing crapware. But what I'm really concerned about are the people who can't afford anything better than that, and they don't even know that stuff's on there, or that their computer could be so much better if they had just bought it at Microsoft or whatever, or if we just didn't have crapware. And I know. Look, I'm not
Yeah.
I try to be pragmatic about this. I actually do think Microsoft could do something about this. Their silence on this issue is astonishing.
You know, it'd be fun if they use this as a way to get people to come into the store. Like if they said, you know what, if you get a PC with crapware, what if you come in the store and we'll take it off for free?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they get in
that's
trouble
beautiful,
for
by the
that,
way.
But
Then they look like the good guy, right?
Yep. Yeah, they could sell a signature PC or not sell it.
service.
Have a
Signature
download.
PC service.
Yeah.
Yep.
They did do that for a while, didn't they?
Did they?
Didn't they say you could bring it in?
sounds familiar.
I guess
but
once you
I
bought it,
thought
there are probably
Best Buy.
issues there.
Best Buy did it. I know, right? And
love that idea.
I suspect
Yeah,
the Best Buy service wasn't free.
no, it wasn't free. It was not free. But if Microsoft sees it as, hey, it's a great way to get people to come into stores and it's worth it to
It
us.
should be in Windows Update. The first time you run, it's like, I see you're running an HP Stream 13. Would you like me to get rid of all that crap? Which
Yeah.
would be just as bad as forcing HP not to put it on there in the first place, I suppose.
Yeah, and one of our listeners right now is saying, and by the way, there are no signature PCs in Germany.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
so-
No, this is a chicken and egg. I think it's U.S.
It
and
is.
Canada only, right?
Right.
On signature PC. Is that right?
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah, no, that's a problem. I mean, we can talk up signature PCs all we want, but if you live someplace where you can't get them, it doesn't help you at all. This is what this stuff is, we're talking about UFOs and Sasquatch over here if you live in Europe. Like, they like, we're vaguely aware of what you're talking about, but we've just never seen one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Microsoft can't snap its fingers and have Microsoft stores, in every street corner on Earth overnight. But that's absolutely part of the problem too.
I have to say, it doesn't feel like they've tried. The signature PC stuff. There was a kind of a velocity effort at Microsoft. And by the way, here's an irony alert. Lenovo was the first company to capitalize on that, and you might remember the velocity PCs that they put up for Windows 7, where these things would boot a lot faster, shut down faster, sleep, wake faster, et cetera. Had SSDs. They were among the first PCs to have SSDs. The velocity program kind of went into signature because really they didn't see a lot of uptick with velocity among PC makers. And, of course, that hasn't gone anywhere. And then Surface happened. And, it's like children hit each other on the head with rattles in a crib. Like, they're just so, this relationship is so mature. It's bizarre. We have Chromebooks everywhere, what the heck does happen? Yeah.
I mean, it's just a strange situation. It's too bad. We have some good news this week, don't we?
Yes, and we'll get to it.
Is there any good
Please tell
news?
me we have some good news.
I tell you one piece of good news. We got a brand new sponsor on the show. We want to welcome them. One of the things that we talk about a lot on this show and on Security Now is PDF readers. Adobe Reader is kind of notoriously insecure, and there's always updating it. There is an alternative to not only Reader but to Acrobat, the program that lets you create PDFs. I've been using it for some time now, and I'm really happy with it. Are you guys familiar with the Nitro PDF? It might be a new player in the space. I think they probably are. You could print to PDF from any application. It adds that, of course, which is really nice. Let me go to the website and show you some of the features. It's GoNitro, NITRO.com/twit if you want to know more about that. GoNitro.com/twit. So as an alternative to Acrobat, it means you can create PDFs. It's got, the distiller. You can print to PDF using a virtual print driver, simple one-click PDF conversions to any Microsoft format and back again. Let me say that again. One-click PDF conversions to any MS Office format and back again, round trip. You could text anywhere in a PDF document, put the text anywhere, even if it doesn't have interactive fields. Everything you need to view, create, prepare, and sign PDFs. One of the things I love about Nitro, mostly when I edit PDFs, is to add a signature to a document a realtor or somebody else sends me. It's so easy to create your signature in Nitro PDF. They have a signature-like font you can use if you just want to be simple. You can sign and hold a card up to your PC camera. It'll do a high-contrast picture of your signature, which will be the most accurate way to do it, and puts it right in their library so you can stamp things. And then it also has, you can draw with a mouse, which I'm not real good at, and I usually don't do, but you could. Editing tools let you manipulate text, change fonts, customize layouts. The Nitro Pro UI, very familiar to you. You'll recognize the ribbon. You could try it, by the way. There's a 14-day free trial. You don't need a credit card. Just go to gonitro.com/twit. That's all I ask. Give it a try. Gonitro.com/twit. It's a great way to collaborate with others using markup and review tools. 500,000 businesses use Nitro now, 50% of the Fortune 500. It's easy to get started, and you will love it. Try it free for 2 weeks. Nitro. Go Nitro at gonitro.com/twit. Smarten your documents. I just love the signing thing. That makes it so easy for me. GoNitro.com/twit. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley, Paul back from Puerto Rico. Did you have, I love Puerto Rican food. Do you have any Puerto Rican food?
Oh, Leo, this food in Puerto Rico was amazing.
It's so good.
And I had no expectation that would be the case.
Yeah.
And we were blown away by the quality of the food there.
Oh, yeah. Our favorite restaurant is a Puerto Rican restaurant here in Santa Rosa, and there's one in San Rafael.
Yeah, we're
called
very
Soul
specifically looking for Puerto Rican restaurants in Boston now for that reason. It was amazing.
This is the alternative. Of course, we always had a lot of Mexican food in California.
Yeah,
people are tired of it. They go to Puerto Rican. Oh my God, it's incredible.
Yeah, you think it's going to be basically Mexican food? No. Nope, nothing like it.
It's Caribbean, I think. It's got plantains and beans.
Yep. But the funny thing is, so, I've been to Cuban restaurants before, and I really don't like plantains in food. The plantains in Puerto Rican food are not like fruit. They're not sweet usually, although they can be. They're almost used like potatoes or couscous or something.
Yeah, there's starch.
It's amazing. It's really good.
It is good.
Oh, you know too, huh, Mary Jo?
I've had plantains. I love them.
I love them.
We were just really, really blown away.
Did you go to the old San Juan, the old city?
Mm-hmm.
So neat.
Yeah.
El Moro and all that. Oh, so neat. Although our favorite Puerto Rican restaurant does do Cubano sandwiches too, which is kind of
I know there's nothing wrong with Cuban food. I just in Cuban food, when I've had plantains for whatever reason, maybe it's just the stuff I got, I didn't really like plantains.
Yeah.
In Puerto Rican food, I always liked it. So it was kind of a very strange change.
Windows Phone, how are things going? I see sales figures.
This will be good, Leo. This will be good news.
What's the
An
good
uplifting segment.
Great news. Windows Phone.
Well, the good news is they sold more Windows Phones in 2014 than they did in 2013.
Okay. That's
so
good
let's
news.
go to the next story.
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's pretty much where the good news ends.
Oh. Market share is not going up.
Market share is not going up. Yeah, it's going down.
Because while Microsoft I saw those IDC numbers. While Microsoft sold more phones than ever before, so did Android, so did iOS.
So the problem, like of the big three, and I put air quotes around that phrase, Windows Phone saw the smallest growth in unit sales as a percentage, right? Very small. I think it was like 4.2% or something.
That's not good.
It's too bad because obviously Microsoft's strategy was to push volume last year with these low-cost phones. And of course, for those of us who wanted the high-end phones, we're kind of twiddling our thumbs and saying, well, okay, you're going to sell more. It makes sense. They didn't really sell that much more. 34.9 million units versus 33.5 from the year before. It's too bad. The iPhone also sold more year over year, mostly because of the iPhone 6 explosion of sales at the end of the year.
Right.
And they still lost market share as well. Google, Android obviously is, over 80% of the market for smartphones. In fact, there was a statistic in there. I think it said that device makers sold more Android handsets in 2014 than all handsets sold in 2013, smartphone handsets, that is, combined. Actually, they sold over 1 billion units, Android phones, just Android phones.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah. So 1 billion versus 35 million, it's not good. It's not good.
But, it's not good for market share. I don't know. I mean, Apple's losing market share too, but it doesn't kill Apple, right? Because
but Apple makes a lot of money on it every time they sell an iPhone.
Right.
Microsoft loses money every time they sell a Windows phone. So,
well, here's the good news: they make money every time they sell an Android phone. So,
yeah,
they can make that up.
Yeah, right. So they have a profitable mobile business, just not selling Windows phones.
Yeah.
hopefully that changes. You know, obviously we've talked in the past about universal apps and that strategy, and we'll see if that pans out.
God, you sound so depressed, Paul.
I know.
Well,
I'm sad.
I'm actually surprised this isn't better. I really am. I kind of bought into this notion of low-end phones just for unit sales, right? Just looking at units, you know.
Right.
5%
And that's where
of the
they're
market,
targeting,
maybe?
right? I mean, they're targeting the volume. So that's why they're doing the low end and the mid-range handsets, and why they're really
but
putting
the problem
a
for
lot of
Microsoft is that the rest of the world doesn't stand still, right? So Google has Android One from emerging markets. They have this phone that Leo was talking about before the show, $149 Moto E or whatever that was.
The new Moto E just came out.
For the United States, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I love Windows Phone. I prefer it, but I think most people would walk into a wireless carrier and say, wait, I can get this without a contract or without a contract. Obviously, you're going to choose the phone from the number one platform, you know, not the one that no one uses, right? I mean, it's kind of a tough sell.
It is. Especially here in the U.S., we always bring it up that the people in the retail stores don't want to sell it to you. And that still is a problem even now. And
so even if you were
but it's
motivated,
not like they're kicking down people that want to buy Windows Phone. You know, there aren't people standing in line to buy Windows Phones, you know.
No, they're not. And you know, sometimes you see displays with them and sometimes you don't. It's a really tough problem. Like I think I really do understand why Microsoft's doing more and more apps and services for Android and iPhone. It's the reality. They're not selling Windows phones. And they hope that Universal Apps is going to change this picture, but there's no guarantee that it will. Yeah.
Right.
And I say that with a heavy heart.
I mean, look, even the rosiest prediction, right? Who's going to say Universal Apps will put it over the top? They'll have 10% market share in 2 years. You know, it's it's not going to work like that. I'm sorry. You know.
No. But next week, maybe we'll see something fantastic at Mobile World Congress.
Will there be any Windows phones there?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to do Windows phones.
Yeah. There's a press conference, a Microsoft press conference on the first day, March 2nd, I think. And we think they're going to announce a couple or maybe somewhere like 2 to 4 new handsets, but nothing, no flagships, we don't think.
No, they have some like mid-level phones, right? Like 720p type phones.
Right. A couple coming to AT&T, we hear from the rumor mill, but that's all we're hearing. And I know a lot of people are thinking we're going to see a flagship phone at that event. I would be very, very, very surprised. I think they're waiting for Windows Phone 10 for that.
Mostly because, by the way, if that phone exists, the flagship phone, it's not being tested out in the world, right? Because the analytics companies probably would have seen it by now. But they have seen some 720p devices. I think one of the AT&T devices is going to be like a 5.7-inch screen, maybe a Lumia 1330 type device. It actually doesn't say here. I don't want to say the processor, but they won't be terrible, you know, but they're not going to be the flagships we're looking for.
These aren't the flagships you're looking for.
No. And I don't know about other vendors, some of their other partners announcing more Windows phones at the show. I would assume some of them would be, since they have a bunch of new international.
It's a company called Kazam.
Right.
Just announced 3 new Windows phones.
Will Windows 10 help Windows Phone?
It will help kill Windows Phone. Is that what you mean? No, it will. Well, I mean,
I hope it will.
Is Microsoft holding out hope like that, or? I know we are.
I think they are. I think they are really, at least publicly, saying they think this universal app idea where you can really use a lot of your code and build for a variety of platforms, including phone, PC, tablet, Xbox. They're saying they believe that is going to change the game. But we also know, as we've said a couple times on the show before, that they have a plan B, and the plan B is get Android apps to run on Windows Phone and on Windows. And they are still building that, and they haven't decided if they're going to take that commercial, but it's something they're holding in reserve as a possible plan. And then there's also the rumor that they are working with a variety of Android players to try to get deals with them to get Microsoft apps and services on those phones. So they're trying a lot of different ways to stay relevant in mobile, but I don't know if they really believe that Windows 10 is going to be this magic pill that suddenly boosts the market for Windows Phone. I don't know if they really believe that.
I think success for Windows 10 has a lot more to do with just stemming the bleeding, than reversing the trends. I mean, I think they want to halt the problems, which I think it will do. I guess we'll see. I mean, like I said, the low-end phone thing is tough because it sounds like such a good strategy. And then Android or Google announces Android One, and you realize anyone who makes a phone could do this. It's not just them. I mean, Android and Windows Phone share a common hardware platform. So whatever benefits Microsoft can get, Android could get at a far greater scale and potentially even lower prices.
Yeah. Okay. I was just holding out hope.
Yep, we were too.
Yeah. Well,
we still are.
When do they kill Windows Phone, or do they? Do they care? I mean, really, is this?
Yeah, right. I mean, I think they keep it going. It's just another part of Windows. It's by commingling it with the tablet version. You have this one SKU. Where I actually think Windows, that tablet you were looking at, the WinBook or the HP Stream 7, right? Those devices would be so much better right now if they had Windows Phone on them. They would be so much better with Windows Phone than Windows. And essentially for Windows 10, that class of device will have Windows Phone, basically, right? It will be the Windows 10 mobile, whatever they call it, version. And that's the right version of Windows for that kind of device. And so I think that opens it up to, the smartphone market is exponentially bigger than the PC market in some ways. But, it opens it up to a new audience as well. And I don't know, it's never happened. But I mean, one of the theories here is that when you have the system that looks the same across all these devices, that you will look for it on the phone, because you have it on your Xbox, you have it on your PC, you have it on your tablet. That's the theory. I don't know.
You sound skeptical.
I look, one of the big things I think we've learned over the past several years is people don't have much of a problem going back and forth between platforms. You could use an iPhone, an Android tablet, and a Windows PC, and it's not.
Nadella
really
has said that. It's a cross-platform universe, cross-platform world.
Yep.
By the way, we will have people at Mobile World Congress. Miriam Jouar will be there. Mike Elgin will too. We'll have a camera crew there, and we'll bring you coverage of course, of the Samsung and HTC and LG events. And maybe, with any luck, there'll be something else to talk about. Is Microsoft there at all?
Oh, yeah. No, they're having a press conference.
Oh, they are.
March 2nd.
Yep.
March 2nd.
Then we will. Oh, that's Monday. Okay, well, we'll do the March 2nd press conference, I think.
I think Stephen Elop should be there.
Oh, well, that should be cool. Former head of Nokia.
I love Stephen Elop. I really do.
You just like his shoes.
I like him because he's stuck around. He could easily...
No, you know why I like him, seriously? Because he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He can pick up any one of those phones and rattle off everything that's in it, everything it can do, all of the advantages of it. He actually knows what he's talking about. And that's a stupid thing to have to point out, but a lot of the guys that hop up on a stage and talk about whatever have no idea what they're talking about. And this guy's he's a real product guy.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying
I thought he was
won't
a good...
be at Mobile World Congress next year. Is that something they announced, or is he just being sarcastic?
Is that true?
What?
No Mobile World Congress next year?
No,
That must
someone
be
is saying
sarcasm.
Microsoft won't.
Yeah, that must
was
be
sarcasm.
Okay.
Oh. Well, I mean, they are going to fewer and fewer of those big shows, right? And I mean, they go, but just have suites and stuff, but not use them as major announcement events.
They did a Windows 8 thing, right, at a Mobile World Congress.
Yeah.
Mobile is not just smartphones; it's also tablets.
Good point.
Yeah.
They'll be there. And so long, soft card. I don't even know what soft card is, but now we don't have it anymore.
This is some more good news, Leo.
Is that the wallet, the old ISIS wallet? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
So you mean the carriers aren't going to support it on Windows Phone?
So Google announced that they've bought the technology and intellectual property from Softcard, and Windows Central just confirmed today that there is not going to be Softcard support for Windows Phone.
Oh, wow.
So, I see a lot of people tweeting, Google, don't be evil. I go back to my earlier comment. For them, it's just business, right? And
it's also, by the way, it's not Google. I mean,
it's not Google. But once Softcard sold all of its intellectual property and technology to Google, Google could have had the choice of saying, and you know what, we're going to do a version for Windows Phone. Google always says, if they have had more market share, I would do a version. I mean, we would do a version, but I just think that's just something they say out of convenience. I think they are out to get Microsoft. They compete with them, and what better way to do that than pull support for something that you need for mobile payments?
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta
Who
say,
are they hurting here? I mean, Google has 81% of the market. Microsoft has 2 point whatever percent.
Yeah.
This is not like an evil plot. They're stepping on an ant.
Did all the Windows phones have NFC?
No.
That might have something to do with it as well.
No.
So,
by the way, 3 years
all
ago,
of the 2%. You get this a fraction of the total.
right? It's 1 point something percent. Yeah. The wallet was a feature of Windows Phone 8, which was announced 3 years ago this month at Mobile World Congress, and it originally only went out on Orange, the wireless carrier, because it requires wireless carrier support in the form of a SIM with a secure element. In France, and the story at the time was that they would take it worldwide after that. Never happened, and so the Softcard solution is a way to have a separate wallet app that you can make, tapping. What do they call it? Tap and pay? What kind of wireless payments? Like in a retail store, like Apple Pay, and that's what Softcard is. So Softcard was Android and Windows Phone. Now I guess it's going to be part of Google Wallet, and it will be distributed by all the major wireless carriers, because Softcard was a creation of those wireless carriers. They wanted to compete with Google, and come up with their own payment standard, because they didn't want Google to be like a middleman in their processes. And now they're doing a deal, basically to counter Apple Pay. So I don't really.
So then the question is, what do you do if you're Microsoft now, right? Okay, so there's Apple Pay, Google owns Softcard.
So now, I have an answer.
You do what?
I do. You just made an awesome deal with Samsung that no one knows the details of. And what did Samsung just do? They bought a mobile payment company called Loop something.
Yeah, Loop
Pay. Right? Loop Pay.
You do a deal with Samsung. So, by the way, this is not my idea. I want to be really clear about that. Someone said this on Twitter, and I apologize for not remembering his name. I don't want to take credit for that thought, but it's a good idea, and it's plausible. And the only thing I'll say is on March 2nd, when those guys get up on stage and start talking to Windows 10 and everything's going to be great, they had better say something about mobile payments, whatever it is. There had better be a solution.
If they do.
Because 3 years ago, like I said, they talked it up for Windows Phone 8 and nothing happened. And since then, Google already had Wallet by that point, but
the irony of Google Wallet is that you couldn't really use it because the carriers had their own system. So Verizon and I think AT&T didn't implement Wallet. Right. They had their own. So part of me is declaring victory with the acquisition of Softcard. It means Google Wallet finally triumphed over these messed up carriers. But then this is very bad news for Windows Phone. But it shows Microsoft kind of missed the boat. They should have had a Microsoft Wallet all this time. I mean,
they have had one. They just,
does it not work? Does it not do anything?
You need support from the wireless carriers. So it's the same problem with the Google Wallet. So the initial deal,
wireless carriers are out of this business. So why don't they use it now?
Well, this all just happened. So next week is Mobile World Congress. This would be the logical place for them to announce something. That's what I'm saying. In other words, they need to get up in front of the world and say, this is what we're doing.
Right.
Not in 2015, end of the year, not in 2016, but like, this is what we're doing. Because my Windows Phone, I guess including right now today, I could go get one of these SIMs from AT&T, I guess, and I could go to McDonald's, right, and make it a tap and go type payment like you would do with an Apple device. That could technically work right now. There's no reason why I can't do this, except that those partnerships, haven't happened.
Yeah, I don't think we're.
I really want to buy stuff at McDonald's with my phone. Damn it!
I do not think next week will be the week we hear about this.
Well, but you got a problem because you got Bank of America gone.
Yep.
You've got no wallet that works. You've got. I mean, this becomes a serious.
It does. Yep.
Issue.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Tap to pay didn't take off until Apple. But almost every Android phone has a credible response with Google Wallet. which works on every Apple Pay terminal.
Well, by the way, Mobile World Congress is next week. Maybe we'll hear about this. The one thing that didn't come out of this Google announcement was, oh, by the way, all of the Android phones in the world are going to get this capability. That is not what they said. What they said was that the carriers would sell new phones that had this capability built into it later in the year. I'm actually not positive that they're going to be able to go back and retroactively, I shouldn't say can't, but won't go back and retroactively add this to old phones, because the wireless carriers, by the way, are still evil. And what they want to do is sell you new phones.
Right.
And so rather than just hand you this capability, they will allow you to upgrade to a new phone and get this capability.
Google Wallet does seem to work on all my Android phones right now. I mean, I don't that the resistance the carriers were putting up has melted, and I imagine will continue to melt now that they no longer have their own solution.
Well, because of Apple, right? So as successful as iPhones are for the carriers, they also don't want one supplier, right? And part of the reason that I think this happened is because they need there to be a second choice, and so what they were doing on their own wasn't really going very well. Google's thing obviously was stillborn because the carriers were blocking it essentially, and so this happened. But there's still the carriers, right? It's not like these guys are suddenly altruistic. I don't think they're going. I mean, we'll see. Maybe Google will announce something next week, but I would be surprised if every Android device that had these capabilities just was suddenly lit up with, tap and pay.
Yeah. No, you can't, because you have to put the soft card secure store on the SIM, and so that's why the phone companies have to do that.
I think some Google devices actually have this built into the hardware, right?
If you use Wallet.
But the carriers turn that off. That's been the problem.
But that stopped. I'm telling you, that has stopped.
Oh, you're saying they have already?
They did that long ago, months ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So every one of my Android phones.
Oh, you can do this.
I can now use Google Wallet with Tap to Pay on any terminal, including all Apple Pay terminals. It works perfectly well.
Okay, good. So there's no reason that couldn't work on Windows Phone, right? I mean, we have those same capabilities. It's just
Microsoft has
this phone, so we're this is. You wonder why I champion the underdog, Leo. It's because I use a Windows Phone.
Well, I think there's still time. Tap to Pay isn't so ubiquitous at this point that people are going to say, "Oh, I'm not buying a phone that doesn't do it." But I think that will happen by the end of this year.
There are plenty of things like that don't seem like a good reason to buy a phone, but then you use them and you wonder how you live without it. So yes, I think this will be a very standard feature of smartphones going forward, except for Windows Phone.
I like the Loop Pay idea. I wonder if that's...
Loop Pay is an interim technology because it's designed to help to work with magnetic swipe terminals. Yeah. So the idea of Loop Pay is it actually creates a magnetic field on the back of your phone that you can hold up to a swipe terminal.
That's amazing.
And it will then think you've swiped a card. Now, the problem isn't the technology. The problem is the clerk who's saying, "Wait a minute, I still need to see your card, sir. You can't just hold your phone up. Did you just hack me?"
Yeah.
That's the problem with all of this stuff. Apple Pay has been so publicized that, for the most part, clerks who at those places, like you go up to Whole Foods, you use Apple Pay. You try to use Google Wallet even. They're a little bit askance, but I can only imagine what it'll be like when you hold up your Galaxy 6 and say, "I've paid for it," and they go,
"Well, eventually this will just."
Eventually, everybody get used to it.
Yeah. There's two other players you always hear people mention as being possible contenders here. PayPal is one, and there's this other group called Current C.
Yeah,
which is a bunch of retailers.
That's the Walmart consortium.
Sure.
Which is
I don't know.
That's a non-starter. It's a non-starter.
Yeah.
That one.
By the way,
you have to take a picture of a QR code at the terminal. It goes, and then you hold up to show the clerk your QR code.
No, forget that.
Yeah. It's all about
like QCat. Remember QCat?
Yeah, the QCat. It's as dumb as that.
Wow.
But that one was all about Walmart and Rite Aid and these, or not Rite Aid, CVS and these other companies who were in the consortium. It was about them getting more personal information because it had to be associated with other information. Apple Pay, they get no information from. Google Wallet, they get no information from.
Windows Phone, they get nothing from.
They get no information. Here,
you can wave in front of that thing all day long.
I got to say, people don't mind using a credit card still. That day has not yet come where they're going to say, "Oh, you have to have Tap to Pay." In fact, I'm
Right.
looking at this this new Moto E, and as far as I can tell, it does not have NFC in it.
Yeah,
So the
I mean, it's
low-end
100
phones may not.
It's a $150 phone.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to
God, the
check
poor
that.
people have to use cash, Leo. Or what do they have?
Stamps. Food
Stamps.
stamps.
Food stamps.
Yeah, you can use food stamps.
Stephen Sandhoff, by the way, was the person who mentioned the loop pay theory. It's a good one.
Yeah, because you'd then be partner. But is Samsung doing any Windows phones?
Well, see, again, they made this secret deal, so we don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
I hate to keep putting off everything to next week, but maybe we'll hear
Would
something
it
about this.
matter if they weren't? I mean, they could just be a loop pay partner.
It hasn't mattered that they did so far, but I mean, I think there are two halves to this. A truly excellent Windows Phone version of the Samsung Galaxy S6.
Wouldn't
right,
that be awesome?
would be incredible.
HTC did it.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, though, right? Or
Right.
close enough. That would be amazing.
Yep.
A Samsung Galaxy S6 that has Microsoft software all over it. That would be pretty amazing, too.
Sweet.
That's
Yeah,
rumored,
so-
right?
Right.
That
We'll
would-
see. I mean,
That's
I'm not
right.
saying it's
I
happening,
forgot
but-
to ask you about that rumor. What do you think? I like that idea.
It sounds awesome, but
Yeah.
I mean, and it sounds almost plausible.
Sounds 100% plausible.
Yeah.
Here's this.
That's why it's
story.
fake.
Yeah, that's why it's not real. It was part of the
It's
settlement.
too good to be
It was
true.
part of the Samsung Microsoft settlement.
It would be
Right.
fun if that were true.
And no one's going to say, oh, golly, I really missed the Samsung calendar app
Right.
or the Samsung email app. You'll still have all the Google stuff. They can't take that off.
Sure.
So you have all the Google stuff. And instead of having the crapware that Samsung lades on their phones, you'll have Microsoft stuff. That's a
Right.
great idea,
is a
especially
good
because Knox, the secure store that Samsung uses, is now being approved by more and more government agencies, businesses. It gives them a business platform. Bad
Yeah,
news, by
it
the way,
does.
for
Yep, it does.
that other.
And Microsoft doesn't just make the high-profile Office stuff for Android, right? There's some of those garage apps they have, like the lock screen replacement, which is
Right.
really cool, which
Right.
could be kind of a neat differentiator along the lines of what companies like Samsung and HTC have already been doing on Android.
It's like Yahoo. Microsoft has to do what Yahoo's doing. They have to
Wow.
acknowledge. They
Hold
have
on
to
a second,
acknowledge
Leo. I
the
gotta
death of their
digest that
core
one for a
business
second.
and focus on apps.
What, do they
apps,
flush the
apps,
toilet while they're in the toilet? What do you mean?
Apps,
that's
apps,
what-
apps.
and
Reach up
that's
and grab
what
the
they're
handle
doing.
and hold on.
Microsoft is an apps and services company, and
Yeah.
they're in hardware too, but that's just meant to showcase the apps and services. They've given up, I think, trying to be a consumer hardware company. They're there
What did you mean by
because
the Yahoo thing, though?
yeah,
what is
just
that?
like focus on what's your core knitting,
Well,
right?
what Yahoo's done is really acknowledge that it's a content company, but basically the way you make a content company succeed nowadays, and this is true for Twit, by the way, you got to have an app. And so Yahoo's just cranking out more and more, better and better apps, because if you don't have an app, you have no presence in a user's life.
Yeah.
Because desktop computing is going away.
Stop it.
I'm just piling on now. That's just mean. But Microsoft, Microsoft, how many apps does Microsoft have on the Apple App Store? They're more than 60.
Dozens and dozens.
There's lots.
Yep.
So they've clearly got, some of them are games, by the way. They got the strategy.
Yeah. I'm surprised there aren't more games, actually. But yeah.
I think they understand the
Oh,
strategy.
man, they put Halo on iPad. People's heads are going to explode.
They will. You know they will.
They will. Yeah, they
If
absolutely
they haven't
will.
already, haven't they? Isn't there a Bungie?
No.
I'll have to
No,
look. Boy,
no,
that-
but like those Halo mobile apps.
Oh, the
mobile-
original game that Halo was based on. What was that called? That's on the iPad.
Well,
It was a Mac game.
the Marathon game?
Marathon. That's on the iPad. That's not
Is it
from
really
Microsoft.
Marathon?
It's not from Microsoft.
Wow.
It's from Bungie.
That's an oldie, but that's like
know.
a Doom
It's
game.
fun.
That's funny.
I know.
Marathon. I can look at that.
Okay, we've just lost Paul, Mary Jo.
I'll be back
Any
in a
Hadoop
minute.
news?
Go
Any
on
Hadoop
without me.
news? Let's see. Hadoop on iPad? No.
Hadoop is does it have a what is the front facing part of Hadoop?
Well, that's funny that you
Mary
asked.
Jo.
There's a lot- Yes, me personally, but also a lot of people want some more to see more tools that make it easier to consume and use Hadoop. So people now use it with a variety of things.
It's data
people
really
use-
though. It's a data.
Yeah.
It's like a database.
It's a big data framework kind of thing, So Yeah, you wouldn't put Hadoop on an iPad, but you could use tools to
Hadoop
kind of work
dashboard.
with the data on the iPad,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
It should have an elephant as the logo.
it should. Well, Hortonworks already owns
Horton.
that. Horton here's
Here's a Hadoop. Paul, you still got your Microsoft band. Did you wear that everywhere you went in Puerto Rico?
Yep.
Did you?
Actually, it's, if you were to look at a, months-long chart of my activity, it would be kind of like one of those, like when a patient dies and it's kind of flat. And then I went to Puerto Rico, and of course we were walking around every day. So suddenly I was up at like 10,000 steps, like every day for 5 days. And then I went back to my normal, average, which is significantly lower.
It's that's the new Groucho Marx line. Either this man is dead or my Microsoft band has stopped.
People ask me at basketball, it's like, why do you wear that thing? And I'm like, it tells me how lazy I am. Except that, of course, it really doesn't tell me that, right? I have to look at it. But, it doesn't ever say like, hey, buddy, go get up. You've been sitting there all day.
Here's the good news. Microsoft has not yet abandoned the band.
By the way, they appear to be very serious about the band.
Yes, they do.
And not just the band, because it's really more holistic than band. It's the band, it's the device, but it's also the services that they have, like Microsoft Health. And then it's a combination of devices and services where the long-term goal is any device can latch into Microsoft Health because it's an open platform. And Microsoft Band could latch into any service, assuming they're open to allowing that to happen. And so we're not there yet, but that's the, where they're heading.
Yeah, again, it's an example again, right, of Microsoft being in hardware, but the hardware is meant to showcase their software and their services.
So ultimately, band won't be just that band. It will be a series of services and apps.
Yeah, they opened it up to third-party developers. They've created an SDK for the band for
you mean hardware
Windows
or software developers?
Software developers.
But they're going to continue to make the hardware, or
I've read I forget where I've read this, but I read that Microsoft actually will license the right to make bands to other companies. Mm-hmm. Like they will let other vendors make band.
That's what Google's doing with Android Wear.
Yeah.
I think the point of their device was just to show what is possible when you have this much data collection occurring. That most fitness bands are very limited. Steps. Most don't have GPS. Now we're starting to see heart rate monitoring, but at the time most didn't have that. And when you have all this stuff, and of course you need to look at it over time for it to be truly useful. And then of course you also need it to be more proactive. And they have all these machine learning things going on up in Azure that can examine your schedule and be like, wow, you don't move around too much on Mondays. Maybe you should, or Tuesdays, or actually on Wednesdays either. In fact, Paul, you don't move around that much at all.
You never move.
You've solved your health problems.
But yeah, so see, even in that example, what does Microsoft care that you're using? They care you're using their data analysis components, their portal, their machine learning stuff. They don't really care that much that you're using their band. They care that you're using their services on the front and back end and their software. That's what they care, because they're a software and services company. We have to keep repeating this over and over.
So they have been updating it. Are the updates significant?
Well, actually, they haven't.
Oh.
So this week's update was the first major update. They actually did have a minor content update previously that added some guided workouts. But this is the big one. They added a cycling tile to the band.
Oh, nice.
And obviously to the app. Kind of a new vertical for them. They're looking at other things like skiing and hiking. And, you can kind of imagine where they might expand there. But I think the biggest part of this is finally there's a Microsoft Health web app. So you don't have to access it on a smartphone to get your more detailed information. And of course, when you're on the web on a tablet or a PC, you get much more on-screen real estate. And so you can see much more detail and much more information at one time. And that itself is pretty interesting because on a phone, you can kind of look at a day or a week. But on the website, you can look at much wider ranges of time, and it starts to get very interesting. And again, like mine is not for me. Mine is very flat, but for most people, you would have a lot of useful information. I'm going to try to bring mine up.
Yeah, I think the real problem is everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop from Apple and see what Apple can do. And we did see that I thought quite interesting. New York Times, or no, it was a Journal report that Apple had hoped for so much more with its watch, and couldn't put everything in it, particularly health related.
Yeah.
And by the way, the issues Microsoft has had with the band, I think, speak to what they're saying. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Okay. And the SDK is for software. It's for apps.
Yep.
And the app, would the app have to be on a Windows phone?
No.
It could be on any phone. The band
Actually, they have different versions for each platform.
Okay. Yep. So far, there's an SDK for Windows Phone and Android Phone, and they said one for iOS is coming soon.
Ah, that's nice.
Yep.
So that's one advantage the band has. Unlike the Apple band or the Android bands, it's fully cross-platform.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you use it with a Windows Phone, Paul? Or?
I do, but I have all the phones, so you can actually switch back and forth really quickly and easily, and then the app works identically for the most part on each. They're starting to build out some Windows phone-only features, though. So in the initial release, they had Cortana support, which requires Windows phones. You can kind of Dick Tracy your watch. But in this update, they've added, a couple of things. Actually, only one of which I think is Windows Phone specific. But the ability to read text messages and emails one word at a time in a very big font on the screen, which is important because the screen's tiny. And so you can button through the word by word every time you hit the button. Each word in the message goes by, and you can read that way. And that's actually not too shabby. But they also have, and this is crazy, but there's an on-screen keyboard, like a virtual keyboard. And it uses the word flow technology that's in the Windows Phone to make that work, because obviously this is a tiny screen, and how could that possibly work? But it basically predicts as you type what you might type next, and it makes it more accurate and so forth. So you have those kinds of things as options, and a couple of which are Windows Phone specific.
I understand why Outlook.com killed Google Chat.
Mm-hmm.
But why Facebook Chat? Is this going to become you got to use Skype or go home?
Well, so actually in this case, it's the same reason. Facebook is dropping support for XMPP.
XMPP. Oh, okay. Okay. So they're going to. Yep. So Facebook's going to a proprietary system.
Is that true?
That's according. Yeah. So I don't have the document in front of me, but basically it's buried in some Facebook document where they. My guess is that Microsoft didn't announce this because Facebook hasn't come out and said it, but it actually is documented somewhere that they are dropped as of April 30th, I think it is, or some.
Okay. Because when I went back and asked Microsoft why are you, I see why you're dropping Google Chat support.
That's been deprecated.
But what about Facebook? And they said it's been deprecated, and I'm like,
deprecated, right? Yeah,
right. But then I said, but then I said to them, has it been deprecated? And they came back and they said no. And I'm like, so why are you dropping it?
It will be. It's April 30th.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you found that out. That's good.
Yeah,
that makes sense. It's sad. XMPP. God, I had such high hopes for
I guess it just worked too well.
Yeah.
It's a chat. It's a kind of a messaging or chat protocol, extended messaging protocol, and it was flexible and dynamic. It was open. It was open source. There were lots of implementations. Jabber was the first. Google Talk used it. Then Google dropped it. I don't understand. I guess because it's open.
Because
we're going back to the days of ICQ, not talking to AIM, not talking to MSN.
Yep.
That's not what people want. I'm very disappointed. We were really working on an XMPP implementation of textual content from Twit that would go along with the visual and audio content. We have our own XMPP server and all this. Oh well. Oh wow.
So Microsoft's advice is just use Skype, guys.
But that's the other reason. That's the real reason, isn't it? They just want everybody to move to their messaging
That's
platform.
Definitely a big part of it.
Well, Skype works great, so no problem there. Well, at least, by the way, Skype is cross-platform. At the very least, Skype is available everywhere.
It is.
You can at least give them that.
Yes.
They did a big deal. Skype did before they were acquired by Microsoft with Facebook to put Skype in Facebook. I wonder if that's in jeopardy.
Oh,
This isn't an anti-Facebook move, is it?
No,
No.
Facebook. You know how Facebook is, right? They want everything. They do everything themselves. And they want separate apps for everything. And I bet
that's
that
the
them
new
dropping
thing.
this protocol has something to do with that. They don't want you doing their thing through something else. They want you on Facebook.
But Microsoft
And I
is
bet
in
that's-
bed with Facebook, right? I mean, with Bing Search and Skype. And,
Well, it's not as tight as it used to be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Microsoft has its own APIs. I'm just going down the list here at this point. Just stop me if you see anything you like. Microsoft has created APIs open APIs for OneDrive. That's cool.
That's good.
What does that mean?
So that lets third-party software developers who want to include integration with OneDrive build it right into their apps.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Positive. Good thing.
Somebody, I'm sorry to interrupt, but somebody posted the document from Facebook that explains it's
good.
being deprecated.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the Facebook developers page.
Okay. So Microsoft saw that and said, well, we could just kill our entire XMPP implementation now. Put it all
Actually,
out of its
the someone was the TriCaster.
Yeah. The TriCaster works up in Seattle. I think we know who
I
he
don't
is, but
see
we
it
don't
in
really
this
know who
thing,
he is
but
or
this
something
is-
like that.
I know who it is.
You know who it is. I knew somebody knew. All right.
But
Thank
we'll
you,
keep that
the
anonymous.
TriCaster.
TriCaster's always there.
I always thought it was somebody in our studios, and it's not. Thank you, the TriCaster. OneDrive APIs, anything
That's it.
going,
It's a good
going,
thing.
gone?
Yay.
Still no Red Hat Linux on Azure, but VMware looks to be on its way.
Yeah.
I'm
So
thinking
another
that's
one
a
that we
Mary
can
Jo
just
Foley.
release.
Yep.
How did you know?
I'm sorry, Darren Cohen posted on Twitter the address for the page that says the April 30 date. So
All right.
that gives
Yeah,
you the
great.
whole.
So it's
That's
definite.
great. And it's hilarious that Microsoft came out and said, "Oh yeah, they deprecated it." Oh no, they didn't. We can't say that yet. Okay.
Like they're partners. I mean, it's possible
Right.
I
Facebook
know.
wants to. By the way, next week's Mobile World Congress.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Facebook's going to make an announcement about something. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a reason. It is odd how vague that was.
It was very vague, and they had nothing more to say,
Yeah.
which kept it equally vague.
There's a
So,
chart somewhere in here that has the date.
yeah.
But they do say very clearly right at the top, deprecated.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Good to know.
Yep.
The service.
Yeah, the Red Hat Linux thing is right now you still cannot run Red Hat Linux in a virtual machine on Azure because I don't know why, because if it's Microsoft holding that up or Red Hat holding that up, neither side will say who's holding it up. But CRN had a report last week that was interesting. They said, and you know what? Pretty soon you're going to be able to run VMware on Azure. And VMware is vehemently denying that this is happening, but there are kind of tricks you can do with migration assistance and some of the InMage technology that Microsoft bought a year ago to get VMware to run on Azure. I don't think we'll see any big announcement with VMware and Microsoft shaking hands on a stage like they did with Salesforce, but with Satya Nadella there, I never say never anymore. Who knows? But yeah, that's that whole story in a nutshell. Boom.
Never say never. It's the James Bond of enterprise services. Office. Handwriting and drawing come to OneNote for iPad. Are we excited?
Paul's face is not excited.
Paul
No,
likes-
I actually
Paul's
am
the
surprised.
artist in the bunch here. He's
Yeah, no, I'm
yeah.
surprised this took so long. I mean, obviously the iPad doesn't support active digitizers, so you basically have like a dumb stylus, and you can kind of use it as
There's
a
no
pen.
pressure sensitivity.
There's no pressure sensitivity, so it's better on Android and Windows. It's a lot better on Windows, depending on the machine you have.
That's Satya
and,
Nadella there. That's his goal.
Yeah,
Yep.
there are a lot of Windows guys who don't want to see this happen. I had forgotten that this was an Android. When they announced this, I thought that's kind of weird that they're doing this on the iPad first, and then actually they had added this to Android. I think back in August or something. It was a long time ago, but yeah, it was August because I was away. But yeah, so I think this is obviously on a tablet. It's more natural to write with a pen if you can do that. I can't even fill out a check, as I've noted in the past. But if you can write with a pen, this is probably a more natural way to take notes.
OneNote's great with a pen. This also might have something to do with the credible rumor that Apple's going to do a 12.9-inch iPad with a stylus that will have pressure sensitivity on it. That would be a nice Outlook design, Outlook device. I think. So I'm sure Microsoft thinks of it that way. Although, again, the Surface Pro 3 is made for Outlook.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It's made for pen use for sure.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't Outlook pop? Can't you make it that Outlook opens when you pull the pen and all that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is the MS Garage? Is that like a R&D lab? What is?
It used to be like this. It used to be in a garage at Microsoft. I think it still is in a garage.
Okay. They had a garage door that opened up.
No, it was like the parking lot garage under one of the buildings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it really was. And it was meant to be like a place people could do hackathons and blah, blah, blah.
Fun.
But now it's become an incubator at Microsoft as of last October. And they are developing cross-platform apps. So they're letting anybody at the company who has an idea for an app come and get some assistance in the garage, and you can launch an app. And many of these are really simple apps. Some of them are pretty cool, though. Like the ones they are bringing out this week are a little less consumer and gaming and more developer and business, I would say. Like one of the apps that they're launching this week is a keyboard for Excel, and it's available on Android devices. It replaces a device's keyboard with one that's optimized for Excel. So if you're somebody who's trying to create lists or enter numbers on an Android device, you would be able to just substitute in this keyboard for Excel. So they're doing apps like that. They also had one called Squad Watch, which shows users where people are, who they care about, and what they're doing.
That's my squad.
By the way, do you know what that is?
What?
I do. It was an app that leaked over the weekend called PeopleSense.
Yeah.
And it's Microsoft is a lot of people thought that was going to be an app that Microsoft made part of Windows 10 for phones. And there's no guarantee they will or won't, but it's now available for Windows Phone users to download and try out. It's an experimental app. There are a couple others. There's one for Visual Studio Online where developers could look at their projects on their phones, on their Windows phones. Join Conference, like an app for joining conference calls more easily from your Windows phone. So they're doing all these kind of one-off smaller apps. They're all free. They're all available for download from the garage, but they're all experiments. So there's no guarantee that they're going to be continued. People should realize they're just kind of test apps. If there's a lot of demand, Microsoft will keep going with them and enhance them. But there's also the chance they could pull the plug on them. So just be aware if you're trying out some of these apps.
All right. The Garage.
And how many of these apps run on Windows Phone?
Well, today, the bunch they launched, many of them ran on Windows Phone. The original bunch was almost all iOS and Android.
So that's good. See?
Yeah.
Yep.
They got the message.
We're making progress.
We are.
So where do you get them? Are they in the App Store, or do you have to go get them somewhere else?
You can get them from the app stores,
Right.
I believe. Yeah. And then for Google and iOS, you can.
Yep.
Windows Phone, can you also download it right from the garage, or do you have to get it from the store? I think you have to.
I mean, you'd have to get it from the store. There's no way to
through the store. Yeah.
sideload.
You can go see them in the garage. And yeah.
I haven't downloaded one on Windows Phone. I should look at those.
No. I think you want Squad Watch.
I do. Yeah.
But they don't call it Squad Watch because that's such a good
Squad
name.
Watch.
Oh,
That's what they do call it.
They do call it Squad.
Squad Watch, in some ways, is also a kind of logical successor to that Rooms feature they just got rid of last week.
Do you really think? I don't think those two are the same kind of thing. Do you?
No, not completely the same. But in other words, one of the features of Rooms, one of the points of this was that you could see where everyone was. And it obviously did all this other stuff, group calendars and photo albums and stuff like that. But, I always sort of like, in theory, the idea was like you're heading out to Disneyland and little Bobby's heading in that direction and little Susie's going over there. And, everyone has a Windows Phone because it's 1950s America. And, we can keep track of each other. It's kind of a neat idea,
You want to watch your squad. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Deploy.
My squad. I am my squad. Xbox news, and then we'll let Mary Jo take it to another level. What is the Xbox news? I deployed the updates, but okay, Paul, help me here.
Okay.
I've been meaning to ask you this. Mary Jo, go make some beer or something. I don't.
Okay, I'll be back later.
Okay.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta. I have auto update turned on. Why is it that every time I try to watch TV, I've got to update my Xbox for half an hour first? Why? Have you got that? Do you have that same problem?
You're on the preview.
Oh, if I turn off the preview, we'll do it automatically.
That's why you're on the preview. Yeah.
So the preview there, you have to manually.
And you're
update.
not turning off the Xbox, right? You're letting it go to sleep.
I leave it on. I never turn it off.
Yeah, because you should just be getting those.
I would think. But I am on the preview, and so maybe that's it. Maybe because
there are way more updates on the preview, and they could come in at any time. Yeah.
But I wish it would just install them so that I wouldn't. But I guess if you're on the preview, maybe they want you to know that you're getting the updates. Or
that could be. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just unjoin the preview.
I'm off the preview, and not by design. Like I was on the preview, and now I'm not.
That's because you're a journalist.
It's like they figured out I was there.
Yeah.
Something.
Oh, that's the rot.
Rot's milling around in the corner.
So you never have to click the button. And that's another thing. Invariably, it says, we have an update for you. And then you press start update.
I haven't manually installed an update on Xbox One since December.
And then this is another one. Every time it says update failed, try again. I have to do it twice. Every time the update fails, and then the second time it goes through.
Yeah, I bet it's because you're on the preview.
I'm getting off of that. I don't like it.
Well, it's kind of. I mean, so obviously every month they release new updates, or almost every month, through the system update functionality. But they also do some of the updates early for the preview guys. And this month's update adds screenshot taking capabilities, which is awesome. Between this and the ability to record videos, like I actually use an HDMI recorder hardware, to do all this stuff, and it's like the ability to do this directly from within the game is kind of cool. And of course, you can do it with voice, if you have Connect, so that's kind of neat. That's the big thing. I mean, there's a suggested friends feature that they've been adding across the various clients. It's on the web now, it's on some of the mobile clients, and now it's coming to the Xbox One dashboard. And the friends they suggest are what they call like Xbox VIPs, famous people, and people work for Microsoft, and then people you through connections they figure you may actually know. And then just the little things, tile transparency customization.
That'll be in March, though, right? We don't get that yet, right?
Yeah. The preview guys can get it now, but then sometime in March, everyone will get it.
I'm going to get off the preview because I don't know what's preview and what's not. And I get a lot of updates, like 2 or 3 a month. It's just,
right.
I'm just going to get off of that. Google Play Music has, I didn't know this. I'm getting my Google news from you now, Paul.
Yeah.
Upped the number of songs in the store. That's awesome.
I pay attention to the digital music stuff very closely. Obviously, on Windows, Google Play Music isn't a great solution. It's only available on the web, and if you're on phone, it's basically not available.
Right.
But what I see from some of Microsoft's competitors is features that should be in Xbox Music that aren't, and this is a good example of that. So, for example, to get your music into Xbox, you would have to pay for Xbox Music Pass, which is $99 a year. But then you still can't just load stuff into like a digital locker, although supposedly that feature is coming. The ability to put 50,000 songs up into the cloud for free means that people who have their own music collections in iTunes or MP3s that they might have ripped from CDs or whatever could basically put all of their music in Google.
That's exactly what I
do. For free.
That's exactly what I do. And then if you have an all-access subscription, you get everything plus your own music. I mean, it's really a great solution. So
Google, obviously, right, they have their own Spotify, Xbox Music Pass style streaming service as well. And so between those two things, it's like you're basically talking.
It's my favorite service. I'm sorry to admit it, but it's true.
No, actually, I honestly, I like it quite a bit. I go back and forth between the different services. I use Google Play Music a lot. I use Xbox Music on my own Windows devices. I use Spotify, and I'm not on Beats Music at the moment, but I've used Beats Music a lot as well. And I expect Apple to do great things here. Google Play is a good one. It's just the story on Windows isn't so great. On Windows Phone, it's non-existent. So if you're a Windows Phone user, and apparently no one is, this is a non-starter. But on the web client is actually pretty great, and they have a nice web, like a music manager application you can use to automate uploading of all your music. You can drag and drop into the web client if you have Chrome. It's nice.
It's great. All my 50 Cent is here.
Yeah.
That way, whenever I have, when I have an urge to listen to Inda Club,
sure,
I don't have to. I can listen right away. But if you don't have every 50 Cent album, and who does it?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're one of those weirdos that doesn't, then you can also have access to them because if you pay the $10 a month.
I lose track of this on a service-by-service basis, but I think one of the things I don't like about the subscription service on Google is you have to pay month to month, which is increasingly common. And the only reason that's a problem is you can't save money on it. So with an Xbox Music Pass, you can get like the year for less.
Yeah, that's great.
And sometimes it goes on sale too.
But they're all $10. They're all roughly $10 a month, though, right? I mean,
yep.
The one to watch is Apple when it finally releases Beats later.
I know,
this
and
year.
I feel like they're really going to nail it. They're going to do some $7 a month thing that's all you can eat, and it's going to be awesome.
Exactly. And they'll have exclusives, which is the only way to differentiate at this point is to have stuff that no one else.
Well, and if you love music, like Apple does a good job of replicating the kind of album experience. They have those extras and things, and that stuff's pretty good.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
The other thing though is Apple has screwed. Oh, by the way, we lost Mary Jo completely.
Wow.
She hung up.
Message received.
Okay, we're done now talking about Xbox. Mary Jo, you can come back, Mary Jo, come back.
So, by the way, I do know that I don't know if she mentioned this to you yet, but I know that Mary Jo needs to leave early today.
I think maybe she did.
I hope that's not what that was. I assume that was a mistake.
Well, I'm going to do an ad, and we'll come back. And if Mary Jo's not back, you'll have to do the beer pick. That's all there is, Mr. Thurrott.
All right, I can do that.
Yeah, she didn't mention that to me. I wish she had, actually, because I would have not taken such a leisurely approach.
I don't think that's why she's gone. But we were talking about maybe her doing her picks before me, just so she could get out.
Well, let's do LegalZoom, and then if she's back, we'll get her in.
Okay.
Our show today brought to you by LegalZoom.com. Not a law firm, but it does get a lot of legal work done at a lot lower cost. They can give you the kind of self-help that you probably need for many of the legal things that you want to do. When it was time for me to start Twit 10 years ago, LegalZoom.com was there. They helped me set up an LLC for very little money, a lot less than a lawyer would have cost. It was easy. We're still running, by the way, under the operating agreement provided then 10 years ago. S Corp and C Corp, you bet you can incorporate there. You can trademark. You get a last will and testament. LegalZoom is a way of organizing your life, and not just your business, your family life, too. Do you have a will? You really need one. If you don't have a will yet, get going. It's very affordable at LegalZoom, and I'll tell you in a second how you could save even more. A living trust, a advance directive. $39 to do an advance directive. If you haven't named someone to carry out your healthcare wishes, to choose, whether you want to be resuscitated or not, these kinds of things, this will walk you through it. It's not going to tell you what to do. That's the whole point of LegalZoom. You can do it yourself at your direction. Now, if you decide you want some legal advice, LegalZoom can help you there, too. They've pre-negotiated flat rates with attorneys in almost every state. So you can connect with an independent attorney, get the advice. You could read their profiles first, an unedited review, so you pick the right one, and it's very affordable. LegalZoom is a great service that's really, I think, changing the world, because it empowers you to protect your family, to protect your business, to take control of your financial affairs. I want you to try it. For more than 10 years, LegalZoom has helped millions of people like me, and I hope you get the personalized attention they need. Don't wait any longer. Go to LegalZoom.com. Now, here's the deal. If you use offer code WW, you take $10 off at checkout. WW is your offer code. For legal help you can count on for your family or your business, go to LegalZoom today, and remember to use WW to get $10 off your order. We thank LegalZoom for their support of Windows Weekly. Paul, she's not returned.
That is not good. Let's see if I can find her. She's not. She's offline.
She's online. Oh, she's offline? Nah, she went.
I wonder if she had a
She was online.
Send her a text message.
Hey, Joe, where'd you go? Well, we've been trying to call her.
Yeah. Okay.
So, it's weird. There's some sort of weird. There she is.
Maybe she lost her connection.
I don't know what just happened.
Oh,
she's back.
Welcome back.
My whole machine crashed, and then I lost cable service.
Oh God.
I know, all at once, and now.
Listen, I know there were 2 Xbox stories, but
but let me ask a question. You don't see a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man walking by your window right now, do you?
I do not.
Okay. Well, here's what we're going to do because I hear you have to get out.
I do.
Let's do your your enterprise pick of the week before Paul gets his. What do you think?
Okay.
Ladies first. I think we should do this from now on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to do all 3 picks?
Do it all, and then you can say goodbye.
Okay. Well, the reason I should tell you why I have to go. I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks, Leo.
Now I know why you didn't tell me. Were you afraid I would yell at you?
No.
Oh, what?
I know Paul can carry on without.
Where are you going?
I'm going next week on vacation, and I'm going to Vietnam and Cambodia.
Wow. Oh, I've always wanted to do that. That sounds wonderful.
Dare you.
Yeah.
How dare you, Mary
So
Jo.
it's weird because of the way the scheduling is. I'm missing all Wednesdays in a row. So
That's
sorry.
Fine. No, that's fine. So your plane leaves like right now? Like what, soon?
No. So I have to go get my shots now.
Oh.
like a dog.
That's the downside.
See, I have a rule: never go to a country where you have to get inoculated first.
Yeah, that's not a fun part of the whole event.
What are you getting shots for?
Oh man, I have to get a bunch. I have to get tetanus, and I think I have to get typhoid. And
have you been not keeping things up to date?
Yeah, but you don't get typhoid shots here, right?
No.
Plus, when you first told me you were getting your shots, I thought what you were saying was you were getting shorts. And I thought that makes sense.
Shorts.
It's going to be warm there.
No, I have to get shots.
Shorts. I need shorts.
And I think I have to get hepatitis A. I have to get a couple more.
Oh dear. Dear.
It'll be fun. But yeah, so I'm going to be gone, but I'll be here in spirit.
All right. Well, we'll miss you, and we'll soldier on. Maybe you get a couple of co-hosts and stuff to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what is your enterprise
pick? Enterprise pick for this week is actually more of a developer pick. It's the newest CTP, which is the tech preview build of Visual Studio 2015, and it's called CTP 6. It came out this week, and the reason I made it my pick is there's some hidden things in there that people who haven't really cared that much about keeping up with these CTPs might want to know about. There have been a lot of calls for edit and continue improvements in Visual Studio, and these are in this particular build. And there also are UI debugging tools for XAML developers. Right now it's for WPF, Windows Presentation Foundation only, but they say it's going to be coming soon, I guess, for Windows Store apps as well. So, other times I might say you can skip some CTPs if you're not really somebody who needs to keep up with every little developer update to the stuff. But this one seems like there's some pretty major things in it. So you might want to go find the download and check out Visual Studio 2015 CTP 6.
Excellent advice. And your codename pick of the week.
Yeah, this is a very mysterious code name, and I'm curious if any listeners know more about it. The code name is Project Blush.
Ooh.
And the way I found out about this is he's known as the Walking Cat on Twitter. He also goes by Felix, so I call him Felix the Cat. And he always is uncovering cool code names and research papers. So he found the site on Microsoft Research. It's for Project Blush. And what it says is it's a project about Microsoft doing work on digital jewelry. So, in the wearable space.
I like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. There's no details on that page about who's on the project or how far along they are or what's part of the project. But if you go to the Microsoft Research website, you can see there's a placeholder page for something called Project Blush. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for that.
Love that. Digital jewelry.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it goes along with the whole fitness band and wearables and Project the HoloLens stuff, probably, because all of those are considered wearables.
Right.
So they were doing even more work in wearables, it seems.
I want cosmetics with nanoparticles.
Yes.
Yes. And now normally we save the beer
so
for
obvious.
So obvious. Normally we save the beer for last, but let's do it now. What the heck? Black rye.
Black rye. Founders, one of my favorite breweries in Michigan, they do a lot of awesome beers. But, everyone has been doing these trendy black IPAs, which are actually IPAs, taste just like an IPA, except it's black in color. They brought back this beer that they brewed in 2006, I think, called Founders Black Rye. And it's not an IPA, but it's a very interestingly hoppy rye beer. I had some this week. It was very good. It looks like a black IPA, kind of even smells like one, but it has rye. That rye's like kind of, what would you call it, spiciness to it. So it's a really nice classic revisited from Founders. And if you can find it, it's worth a try.
Is it like a stout? I mean, it's so dark.
No, it's tastes like if you had your eyes closed, you would think it might be a rye IPA or even a black IPA. You might think that, but it does not taste like a porter or a stout. It tastes way hoppier and has kind of that piney, resiny stuff going on.
Interesting. Mary Jo, go get your shots.
All right.
We will miss you for a month practically.
Yeah, 3 weeks, but I'll be back.
You're going to be back.
You guys will have to do Hadoop pics
I
without.
expect photos on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Where could people
Yeah.
follow you to see all that stuff?
Well, I was thinking I might do some sways actually and post them.
Oh, that'd be cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
When do you leave?
I leave on Tuesday next week, and it's a 16-hour direct flight.
From here to Hanoi to where?
Here to Hong Kong, and then Hong Kong to Hanoi.
Wow.
Actually, not terrible. To
Define
Asia.
not
I mean,
terrible.
I know.
Well, from the East Coast to Asia, I mean, that's not terrible.
It's good to get a direct flight, right? But
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long flight.
It'll be a long
But
journey.
I'll miss you guys,
Yeah.
and I'll miss all the Xbox pics, especially.
Well,
I'll record a greatest hits.
We could do
version
that.
of
We could
it.
send them to you. It wouldn't be
You could?
too much
Nice.
trouble. Yeah.
You can listen to them when you walk around.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm actually more worried about you just coming back and saying, "What is Microsoft? What is
exactly.
what's Hadoop?"
Yep.
I know. I'll be kind of truly unplugged there.
I could
so.
see you moving there and opening a faux stand or something, or as they say, foot.
Right.
Yeah, see, she's prepared. She already knows. It's foot.
And this is really cool. One of the Windows Weekly listeners has a brother who lives in Ho Chi Minh City who just opened a craft brewery there. And so we're going to tour it while we're there.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's great.
Wherever you go, there's
There's always beer.
There's always beer.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Mary Jo. Have a great
All right,
trip.
guys. Take
We'll
care.
miss you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Paul, it's just the boys now. You and me.
Finally.
We've been trying to get rid of her for years.
Yeah.
Years.
She's so nice.
Just too nice. So do you have a tip for this week?
I do. I have 2 tips.
Yes.
A couple of weeks ago, I had a tip about getting 100 gigabytes of free OneDrive storage courtesy of Bing Rewards. But that was U.S. only. Now they're offering this to everyone in the world. And you have to, I believe it still ends at the end of the month, so you got to move quick. There's only, 3 days left in the month now. But basically, no matter where you are, you can get this free storage. And I think you do it at, well, I have a link on my,
I can pull it up for you. Is it in OneNote?
It is kind of a long. It's bing.com/explore/rewards-OneDrive. Sorry. If you can't, hear that, okay, I have a story about this.
Go to Thurrott.com.
Go to Thurrott.
Oh, you got to learn to plug your own site.
Yep.
I have it all at Thurrott.com.
I do. That's true. The other tip is same deal for students worldwide. At some point last year, Microsoft opened up Office 365 for education for free to students. I mean, obviously, educational institutions need to sign up for this, but this is now worldwide as well. And I have a story about where you can just basically click on a link if you're a teacher or a student. It knows you're in the system. You can go get Office 365. It's basically Office 365 Home. It's actually, I think it's called Office 365 for Education, but it's a like the home version. You get consumer Outlook.com. You get consumer OneDrive.com with infinity storage, and you get Office 365 Pro Plus, basically minus the Access. I think is missing from it, but it's the full-blown Office suite, 5 PCs, Macs, any number of tablets and phones and all that kind of stuff. So. If you are a student or a teacher, I have an article on Thurrott.com. You can go click on that and find out if you're eligible. And you would know. I mean, I think your school would probably be advertising this fact, but that's where you can go get that. And then kind of tied to the Start 10 thing from Stardock. Over the Windows 8 timeframe, Stardock came up with a bunch of utilities, which I've always recommended and I use myself, Modern Mix and Start 8 among them, that made Windows 8 look and work more like Windows 7. But there are other alternatives to these things, and one of the famous ones is called Classic Shell. And Classic Shell has evolved over the years. I hadn't actually looked at it in a while. It does a bunch of different things if you want it to. You can actually choose which components to install or use. It will change your Explorer to have some classic Explorer toolbar type things, which I actually don't like. I turn that off. But you can. It does some stuff with IE as well. You can have kind of a classic look for IE. But one of the things it supplies is basically the Windows 7 Start menu, and it's completely free, and it works with Windows 10. And so you can do this if you're running the Windows 10 technical preview. I don't necessarily recommend not using the Microsoft stuff at this point, but if you find that you don't like the tiles, you want the layout from Windows 7, and you want it literally to be identical to Windows 7, Classic Shell does that, and it does it for free. And so it's something to look at. I'm testing it now. I think it might be a little too early to do any kind of a comparison between these things because obviously Windows 10 could change too, and these things will evolve as Windows 10 does. But for right now, I would say that the neat thing about this utility is that it's free, and it looks exactly like.
Isn't that funny?
Exactly like Windows 7.
People are patching the technical preview.
I know. It's just sort of subverts the reason we're testing Windows, I guess.
Well,
but
I mean, it's
well, but you could use this on Windows 8.1. I mean, you don't have to run it on Windows 10.
Right.
It works on previous
okay.
versions.
It's the same Classic Shell as before.
Yeah. And actually, one of the things I like about it is it actually gives you a link to the other Start experience. So in other words, if you're using the Windows 10 technical preview, you can click on that and you'll get the new Start menu will pop up. And if you're running it on Windows 8.1, you'll get the Start screen. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't just replace it. You can also go and access those tools as well.
Cool.
So something to look at. It's free.
Paul, I think we finished today in fine gentlemanly style.
As we are wont to do.
We'll be back next week, maybe with a guest, maybe not. Maybe
I'm going to ask some people, I think. I think I'm going to ask.
Play it by ear. Let's see what happens. We did this show together, you and I, for many years.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. Somehow we muddled through.
But much of my adult life has been spent here.
It feels like it, doesn't it, after a while?
Yeah.
THURROTT.com. That's where you'll find Paul, his new blog. It's awesome. We are going to do this, though, because we've taken the Joe Belfiore picture that used to be a part of the
nice
show, and we'll just keep Mary Jo. She fell right over.
Yep.
We'll keep Mary Jo.
We must have been talking about Xbox.
Part of the.
Every time we talk about Xbox, you can just slap it down on its face, like it falls over.
Alex works fast.
That's good.
Joe B, a.k.a. Mary Jo B. That's good. I like it.
Yep.
We'll be back here next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. No, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Why don't I not know? I've only been doing this for years. The time of the show does not change. Some shows will change because we're spreading them out a little bit. Just as your ass has spread over the years, our shows.
Yep, that's what my band says, actually.
Like the cosmos spreading across.
That's right. It's
to fill the landscape. Yep. But we will be back, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC, live.twit.tv, or watch after the fact on demand, available at twit.tv/ww, youtube.com/Windows Weekly, and of course the Xbox Music Store and wherever you get your podcasts, the podcast apps on Windows Phone. We even have Twit apps on Windows Phone along with iOS, Android, and Roku. So just find an app, download it, make sure you don't miss an episode.
Very promiscuous.
We will. We'll play with anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody. Thank you, Paul. See you next week.
Thank you, sir. Bye.